welcome to Zanekin's Manga Reviews. As always, I'm your boy Zanekin, and today I'm bringing you the second part of the top 100 characters in all of One Piece. If you missed the previous video, please go back and check it. I did numbers 100 all the way up to 91, and today we'll do 90th all the way up to 81st. So, starting out, we have Hody Jones coming in at 91st, or 90th, pardon me. Hody Jones is one of those interesting characters in the sense that a lot of people didn't care for the Fishman Island arc. I've seen a lot of other reviewers talk about where they just didn't have a lot of positive feelings towards it, and I have to disagree with that. I think when we see Luffy show up to Fishman Island, and that's the first time we get to see Emperor's Haki used in such an amazing way, I think that's one of the best scenes in all of One Piece. I think Hody Jones served the purpose, and that entire arc served the purpose of showing the growth post-time skip. And I think if our heroes would have come out after that time skip, after all of that training and everything else, and struggled mightily with whatever the main antagonist of their next thing that they did, it would have been more discouraging than anything else. I kind of liked how they showed up, sort of handled things easily, and walked away. And Hody Jones was a great character as far as I think a lot of people still have fond feelings towards Arlong. He was kind of like Arlong 2.0 with enough strength and pills to try to add to that dynamic. But it also opened up a lot as far as the history to the Sun Pirates and a lot of other things related to Arlong, which to me brought more appreciation towards Arlong and kind of connected the whole world of what it's like to be a fishman in One Piece. Coming in at number 89, we have Duval. Now, Duval, and this has been some of my criteria for the other characters, I do not think that Duval is a particularly exciting character or one that will have a major role moving forward. However, the humor that comes from Duval being mistaken for Sanji's terrible wanted poster, the amount of years and everything else that included. Just think how long in our world that we had Sanji's bad wanted poster, and it's just amazing for everything to kind of come full circle with Duval, for Sanji to correct his face and all this other stuff. It was a great gag, and he's an interesting character. Honestly, if you look at his character design, and you told me that he was one of the main members of the Straw Hats or something of that sort before I watched this series, I wouldn't disagree. I think he looks like a cool character. Coming in at 88th, we have Baby 5. Now, Baby 5 is an interesting character because she's not well developed. She's a very... I'm trying to think how to put this. There's not a lot of room to grow with Baby 5. She could mature here and there, but then in a way you lose the charm that Baby 5 has in the first place, if that makes sense. And I like her devil fruit ability. I think it's interesting to have the weapons the way that she does. I like the route that she ended up taking during Dressrosa. I thought it was very interesting that they essentially married her off, and she's just an interesting character. I think if you don't enjoy Baby 5, you don't understand or appreciate the type of humor that Oda has and the type of humor that One Piece has as a whole. I think she is a great example of some of the characters that we sometimes get, that they don't have to be a major villain and they can be kind of joking and still be enjoyed by the fan base. On to number 87, we have Emporio Ivankov. And I might be saying that wrong as well. However, this is a character that maybe should be ranked a little higher based off of the importance to the story and the different things that that happened with Emporio. But it's kind of a gag character, and it's a gag character that's very gaudy or painful to look at times. Just a very interesting character design. I think the connection to Dragon was a surprise to me when I found that out. The role that was played throughout Impel Down and during Marineford, and the abilities, the fact that it can stimulate your adrenaline and possibly even affect your gender and stuff of that sort. I think that we'll see a lot more from Emporio moving forward, which is definitely why it makes the top 100 list. Moving on to number 86, we have, and this might be a surprise to include in my top 100, but I think some other people will support me on this. We have Hell Meppo. our boy, way back, if you remember, and again, lots of spoilers throughout these videos if you don't already know. But Helmeppo, way back in the beginning, was the spoiled son of Axan Morgan, who had Zoro held capture. Now, the reason I enjoy Helmeppo is if you'd have told me way back then, when we were just kind of starting off the series and establishing who was going to be any somewhat relevant to the story, that Helmeppo would still be around, and not only that, but working his way through the ranks in the Marines in an honorable way, I would have never believed you. And I think that's an interesting thing that Oda did. I think he does a great job without even showing the characters of keeping up where his world is at and knowing where almost every character is going. That's why I think some reviewers love to talk about, oh, well, who's going to be brought back in the fold? Are we going to see Rob Lucci again? Which was a discussion for a long time before we even had a hint that that was actually a realistic possibility. And everyone's always been waiting to see, I can't remember his name right now, but the crew that we saw when we met Sanji. And it's very interesting how he's kept up with Helmeppo throughout. I enjoy Helmeppo's character now. His design's interesting. I think at some point he'll play an interesting role in the story. Coming in at 85th, we have Hannibal. Now, Hannibal is an interesting character for a few different reasons. And I'm trying to think of how to start. Hannibal is important to the world of One Piece, as are a few other characters I'll mention in a moment, because Impel Down is respected as such a prestigious prison, despite the outbreak that occurred, which was a one-time, probably in the history of the world, phenomenon that won't be repeated. He's just, I was trying to think of how to put this. He was originally the vice warden of Impel Down, and he's been moved up to the major warden of Impel Down now. I think it's just interesting. I think he plays an interesting role because he might not deserve to be the main warden. I know that obviously the main warden allowed the escape and everything else, but he's still powerful. I think if you go back to Impel Down, there's a lot of characters that we still have to acknowledge as being powerful characters. Moving forward, we have Momonosuke coming in at 84th. Momonosuke is an interesting character too. Now, and I have to admit that I was not a fan of Momonosuke originally. I didn't know that the story was going to go anywhere with that character. I thought it was just kind of a weird distraction from everything else that was going on at the time. And I think what made me interested in this character is not only the fact that he'll be able to speak, he has the voice of all, or whatever we call it, but he'll be very important going into Wano. Finding out about his father will be more interesting. His perverted-like nature is really kind of funny to me. And I know it's a cliche thing to have that overly perverted nature and things of that sort, but the way he does it is always hilarious, and the girls never seem to buy in, and he creates some great fan service moments, and he's an interesting character. I think if we do get a time skip at the end of the series, similar to other stories, or if we have another time skip, which is something that a lot of people haven't ruled out from this series, that we may need another time skip in order for Luffy to really get to where... Anyway, that's a whole another conversation for another time. I got to burn through these. So I think Momo will play an important role moving forward. I'd love to see him grown up. I think he'll be an important character in Wano, and it'll be great to see Luffy establish he had another powerful connection at the Reverie. Moving on to Kanjuro. And it is interesting that I have Kanjuro above Momonosuke, considering he's kind of a servant of Momonosuke. But I think Kanjuro is a very interesting character in his own right. I think if we didn't learn anything about Momonosuke that we did during Zou, we would still love Kanjuro. His painting ability is amazing. It's an interesting devil fruit. You would think that it might give you more power, but it reminds me of Sai from Naruto. And his character design is just interesting nonetheless. And again, he'll play an important role going into Wano. I think we'll see more of his drawing ability, and he'll go from more of a gag to an impressive feat whenever it comes down to it. At 82nd, I'm just trying to wrap it up for you guys, we have Magellan. And Magellan's an interesting character, and a lot of people have discussed this, because Magellan his power is very debated in the One Piece universe because, again, like I was talking about in Impel Down a second ago, he was never really defeated per se. And his abilities are very interesting. They remind me of Caesar Clown as far as being able to use the poison. But at no point was he ever really defeated. And to put him second fiddle or below Hannibal is interesting. And I think at some point he'll play an important role when it comes to hopefully a giant battle between the Marines and everything else. But I think we got to find something out, because Impel Down is obviously the prison. But just like our police force and our prison guards are different groups, Impel Down seems to be slightly different than the Marines as a whole, and I'm curious where that will go. Magellan's just a beast. I like his character design. His size is overwhelming. His ability is brutal. I think that maybe Reiju plays a role when it comes to dealing with Magellan in the future. Maybe Reiju joins the Straw Hats, or at least travels with them. Who knows? But we'll see. And then at 81st, to wrap up this video, is we have Shiryu. And again, I apologize if I mispronounce any names, but Shiryu is one of the members broken out of Impel Down, and he's pretty much going to be Zoro's counterpart whenever we do go and face Blackbeard, which means that he has to be powerful. Shiryu, I believe, used to be in charge of Impel Down, but was in prison for being too cruel, and then they released him to help quell the uprising, but instead he ended up helping and joining Blackbeard. I think Shiryu will be important in the sense that I think he's actually one of the more powerful characters from Blackbeard's crew. He's not one of the weirder looking ones or more quirky ones. I think he'll have a great battle with Zoro, which means he has to be pretty powerful. And I think that will be a great fight moving forward. His character, I don't really know much about, nor do I really care. I just don't like Blackbeard, guys. I don't like Blackbeard. I don't like his crew. I don't like that he's going to be one of the last things that we deal with in this show, but I understand the reasoning, the thought, and everything else behind that, and that I'm not supposed to like him, but I just don't enjoy him. But Shiryu is my 81st pick. I think that his battle with Zoro is worth keeping him on this top 100 list and putting him at the place he's at. Let me know what you guys think down below. Again, if you didn't watch my video before this one, please go back and watch it to see 100 through 91st. This video was 90th through 81st, and I'll have another one coming up today doing 81st through doing 80th all the way to 71st. And there's some very interesting characters in that next group. So please like the video if you did. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And please share this video if you can, so we can get some more of our lovely One Piece family in here for the discussion. Thank you guys, and stay awesome.